What's going on, everybody? It's your boy JT, and we are back to the Crypto Den. I want to thank you all today for tuning in on an important topic for you all to know. I'm going to pull up a screen here. It's going to list all of the major types of tokens in crypto. A lot of you do not understand this. I want to drive this home for you all, okay? And so you can trust me and my credibility in what I'm telling you. My name is Jake Tullis. I also go by JT. I run a digital asset hedge fund or a crypto hedge fund called Bleeding Edge Capital. We are a discretionarily long, research driven hedge fund that specializes in fundamentals analysis. I am the fund manager and researcher that leverages my 10 plus years of software development experience to understand these protocols at the root level, and this channel is where I bring my findings and my opinions to you all and hopefully educate you on exactly what this stuff is, okay? One of the first rules of investing is know what you're buying, okay? So with that, we want to talk about tokens. Well, crypto, okay, that word crypto refers to tokens. Really, crypto is just a slang term used to describe a byproduct of a blockchain network. And a blockchain network is just a data model. That's it. Okay? It's a new type of data model. This data model allows a lot of cool things, and it is a 0 to 1 improvement on how we interact with the internet. Okay, this data model is going to change the internet for good. And it's really important you understand the kinds of tokens that can exist on a blockchain network. See how we're talking now? We're not saying which cryptos are going to pump. I'm different. That's why you subscribe. I'm going to tell you what these things are, tell you the facts, and do my best to keep it simple so you actually understand this stuff. So, on a blockchain network, there are a lot of different tokens. Tokens are basically like files. You could think of them as files squared. They are just like files on a file management system, like that little folder you click, drop a Word document into a folder. Basically like that. Tokens are files in between nodes, and it coordinates all of the nodes on the network, okay? Through different mechanisms. They're all different, but there's types of tokens, and I need you to understand that. So over here, we're going to go into utility tokens, security tokens, governance, asset, stablecoin, and DeFi tokens. There are more, and inside of these tokens, it gets more complex. There's standards, right? There's a 20, that would be a fungible token, a 20 standard. So you can think of an ERC20 token. You've probably seen that in your wallet if you've been in DeFi at all. That's a 20 token standard of a fungible asset token for Ethereum. Okay. So it does get more complex. We're just going to stick to the high level stuff though. Okay. Make it simple for you guys. First, we have a utility token. That is genuinely just one, it's what my fund invests in. That's where I like to put my investors' capital. I think it's the most effective token to get returns on. Okay. Mainly because you can anticipate the goods and services on a blockchain network. You can go look at the total market cap of those goods and services, come up with a valuation model of kind, and then understand the supply and demand metrics around that token. If you anticipate demand will go up and it has a fixed supply for that resource which demand will go up for in the future, like pricing feeds, like if you believe there's going to be more decentralized applications that need cross-chain price feeds, Chainlink's demand is only going to go up in the future for the Ethereum virtual machine. You need to buy Link to get access to those data feeds. Therefore, it's a utility token. Therefore, if you buy the supply of Link prior to that demand surge, you will see a lot of, yield from that. The next type is a security token. Hey everybody, it's JT. Just in case you didn't know, I would love a sub. Almost 97% of you that have viewed our content have not subscribed, and it would mean the world to me if you just hit that sub button, give us a like, and let us know how we're doing. All right, back to the content. So you could basically think of this almost like private equity, but just from a perspective of ownership, and that's really it. Um, I'm trying to think of. I guess you could think of you could use NFTs. The 721 ERC 721 is a great example. That's an NFT. It's a type of token. That would be a good security token. Governance tokens, as shown here, that is purely just a token that exists on a blockchain network that if you hold it in your wallet, you can vote in the DAO, okay, that will give you weight. So let's think of it this way. You have the Ethereum Foundation, Ether, the asset. You can't even participate in votes unless you own a certain percent, and then your weight of your vote is directly correlated to how much tokens you have. So like I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head, but let's just say there's a billion Ethereum. Vitalik owns 10%. That's 100 million Ethereum. When he votes on an EIP, an Ethereum Improvement Proposal, he will carry 10% of the vote. The whole idea is that you use governance tokens to get everyone on the same page. If I had 10% of a protocol, my net worth is tied to it. Why would I vote to harm it? That's why we all have skin in the game. And that's a really cool function of a governance token. Asset tokens, you can think of that as a token that's representative of a real world asset. So, like, if I had $1 million of gold, I then put that somewhere, I verify it with a blockchain, say, yep, this is it. We have a camera streaming it, whatever it is, this is the gold, this is where it's at. Boom, it's here. It's real. And you issue a token. Maybe it's $1 for 1 million tokens, and then you could literally buy a fractional share of that gold by buying the token. That would be an example of an asset token. A stable token is just like USDC. You put $1 in, they issue $1's worth of token out. It's 1 to 1. There's different types of stable coins, but in general, this is a way to put cash on a blockchain so it's sitting there as dry powder. That way you could easily swap out of your stable token into a utility token or an asset token for yield or for returns or for investing or purely because you would like to. And then finally, you have DeFi tokens. These are tokens that, when used, you're basically renting for a very short period of time the infrastructure that a whole community built. So you could think of that as Cake. That's a great example. Pancake Swap. Pancake Swap is a decentralized exchange, kind of like Coinbase, but it is completely decentralized, meaning a community built it and owns the code. It sits on top of Binance and is used as an interface to buy BSC tokens, or just tokens no different than Ethereum, the ERC20. You can do the same thing on Pancake. Okay, you could buy BSC20, Binance Smart Chain 20 tokens. These are fungible tokens, the meme coins, whatever you want to call them. And some are legitimate projects as well. You can just connect your wallet, use Pancake's exchange. In that process of you doing that on Binance, you're going to use a little bit of cake to make the transaction happen. And that's it. I mean, those are all of the different types of tokens, okay? You're probably thinking, oh, wow, I didn't know there was so much to this. It gets crazier, okay? Even inside of these categories of tokens, there are a multitude of standards, okay? So these are very complex things, but I do my best to bring it to you. All you got to really think about is some of these tokens are going to capture value and others are not. The governance token, the security token, the stable token, they're not going to be in between a transaction. Okay, they're used to monitor, they're used to federate, they're used to control as best as they can a blockchain or the resources on a blockchain, but the actual economics of crypto do not apply to those kinds of tokens. They just don't. The idea is that we're going to take resources and we're going to put it on a network and we're going to use encryption to create a trustless environment so we can create equity online, which is new. The reason why it's new is up until now, someone bought the hardware, pays for the electricity, right? That goes into everything that allows the internet to work. Either the government or a private company, it doesn't matter. So you are basically, it's a free service, but you're giving them your data for them to monetize, to pay for the hardware, to give you the storage for your kid photos. And that's how it goes. But in blockchain, we all contribute. So there's someone out there that went and put maybe 2 or 3 grand into a computer, plugged it into the wall, downloaded the Bitcoin software, starts mining the network. That gives Bitcoin the hardware and the electricity it needs to function. When you use Bitcoin, you're renting that block, or I guess you're purchasing the block that the network creates, right? And when you do that, you're kicking a little bit of that Bitcoin back to the people that created this environment that you just used. It's a completely different way of thinking how the internet works, and it's a better way. It's a better way for a lot of reasons. Um, First and foremost, security. Okay, because if one company has all of your stuff and that company makes a mistake, all of your stuff is gone. In Bitcoin, it's impossible to take down Bitcoin right now. Quantum might be able to do it in the future, but as of right now, it is impossible. It is the safest place to store data. And I can't think of better data to store than your life savings, your retirement. You know, even the government can't take it from you. Like they'd have to take your keys. It's a very powerful technology, but understanding these tokens, understanding what you should avoid and should be purchasing or not purchasing for investment and yield. Hopefully this was helpful. Okay. Everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And until next time, take care of one another, okay? Peace.